What's up, guys? Thank you so much for coming back. It's been a long time, and for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Shin Paulo, and I want to talk to y'all about a game that I like, and it's Tekken. Most recently, Tekken had a new balance patch for Season 2, and a lot of the changes were not what we expected of the game. And to be honest, it's going in a direction that I personally do not like, and I think it is going in a way that just strays from the idea concept of what I perceive Tekken to be. And it's actually kind of scary because the game that I grew to like is not, and watching it at a young age, watching the great players play like Neem, Min, Holman, um, who else? Saint, JDCR, and others, including like my good friend Arslan Ash and Farzine. This game is just becoming something that, it's not healthy. And there are some changes I would like to implement if I was developing the game. And here are some changes I would impose to the development team since, I'm going into the field of game development and learning it in school has taught me a lot of things. So if you guys would like to give a like on the video, please like it, comment down below what you think about my changes, and if you don't like it, tell me down there as well. But be sure to sub to the channel for more content like this, because I think during my time I will be doing a lot more videos in how to fix the games and maybe learn about new stuff of what they implemented. So without further ado, let's get started. So the biggest change I feel that with this game has is that these new moves are super plus. What do I mean by that? So Jin's new running 3 goes into stance, and if he goes into stance, it's plus 11, right? That's insane. So you can't do anything as the defensive player. You are forced to sit still. And if he does the high kick, right, even though it's a high, and people say, "Oh, you could just duck it, bro." No, it doesn't work like that because he has follow-ups that are a mid, a homing mid, and then he has a low from it, I believe. And it's really good that he has all these options to cover his weaknesses for the stance, right? And not only that, he has a mid that goes under. So if you try to jab him out of it, he has a mid that'll high crush you and you get launched and you die. So you're forced to take the guess, right? You're taking a casino 50-50 coin, and that's not good. And one change I would do is like moves like that they're like running attacks or any type of move like that, they're not so plus when they go into stance. I think that would be a really good change because it then forces the player to try to use their tools of what the character has to make them, all right, if I hit him with the running 3, I could either take the plus frames of like +4, and if I go into stance, I should be +2 or plus, not 2 plus to make them, to force them to try to sit still to take the mind game, right? And I think that would really help. Another change that I would do is that certain moves in this game still happen if the person blocks it or they sidestep away from it and they still get hit. The player will still get hit. There's a lot of footage of it. So like one example of it is that Anna, right? If she does, let's just say for example, 1-2-1 in heat, she does 1-2-1-2, right? And it goes into the noob tube shot, the 3 hits or 4 hits. I feel that if she doesn't get you to block that move, that the grenade launcher doesn't come out. Same thing goes for Dragunov with his heat smash. Same thing goes for Asuka with her heat smash. I feel that if you completely whiff the move, you should not be able to just be like, "Oh, I'm out. I'm free." Whee! I don't feel like that's like good for the game. I feel like that's just silly. I think that's just confusing because as a player, you're like, dang, I made them whiff. All right, here's my whiff punish. And Tekken's known to be a game of like huge whiff punishing. And this game doesn't allow you to really get those big whiff punishes. And it may be because of my age, but it doesn't feel like if you make somebody whiff in this game, they should not be able to just be having a get out of jail free card because of it. I think that if they like, so for example, right, if Dragunov does heat smash and he does he completely whiffs, he just goes in that big animation and he starts like slowing down because it's like, oh, I whiffed, I missed. That should be as a player, that should be like an indication to be like, all right, cool, I can finally hit this motherfucker and make him like pay for this thing. I think that would be a really good change. And I think another change is that too, it's like for Lars, you've seen it with Knee, you've seen it with other players, and they're doing this new move where he just stomps, he stomps and the lightning comes out. And the same thing should go for Lars. Like if it you whiff it, it should not come out. Because there's certain times where I've seen people play and they're in Lars is in heat, and the Lars player would just do force stomp, and then just and then they'll get hit by the lightning, and you're like, you didn't hit me. How did the lightning come out? Like that doesn't make any sense. So I think like moves like that all in the game should be changed to make it like if you whiff, you are in big trouble. That would really help the idea concept of defense, right? That would help the idea of allowing players to sidestep. Also, another change I would implement is that these homing moves in this game, like take off the homing, like characters don't need to cover the weaknesses. An identity of a character is supposed to be displayed through what the player's expression allows you to do. And I think that allowing the player to play the way they want to play not only enables creativity, but it enables freedom of choice for them so that you could see different styles. I remember watching Tekken 7. I was a huge fan of this Korean player in the arcades named Begin. And when I watched him, I was like, holy moly, like his style was so different from Super Akuma. It was different from my style. It was different from a Wise Honey style. It was different from Puko style. It was different from everybody else's style. And I think that would allow a lot of creativity for the players to be like, all right, I can see what I can do and see that their idea works like this, but let me implement it my way and see if that would work for me, because I don't like to play this forced aggression, this forced interaction with players. And like speaking of forced interaction, I think that another change would go into that as well is that the idea of the heat engager being a choice for the player to run in or not, right? Hear me out on this, right? So if the player does a heat engager, and they have the choice, if they run in, they don't get the white life back. But if they do, if they do run in, if they do run in, they don't get the white life back. But if they don't run in, they get the white life back. So they have that conceived idea of choice, of being able to understand, right? If they understand, okay, if I'm in a deficit and I get this white light and I get this life back, I can be able to make the choice to be like, all right, do I use it or not, right? If I use it or not, it forces the player to think more on their feet and allows them to have that idea concept of aggression versus defense. Because if then it starts creating a balance for the waves, right? As we've seen right now with Tekken, it's just we're going like this, go, 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 go. And people, including me, I don't like that. I don't like having to force myself to just keep running my head, banging my head at the wall and being like making a hole in it and being like, all right, this is how I win against my opponent, right? I don't like that. I think that really is not helpful for the game. And then I think a good choice, that would be one great choice, right? I think that would really be a great choice. And then another hot take I would do is that, you know how there's a rage, you know, when you get to a certain life part, there's rage, and Fatal Fury does this really well. And I really like this idea concept of in Fatal Fury. In Fatal Fury, if you do Just Defend and you're playing the Just Defend, you can be able to get your SPG back if it's like in the beginning or in the middle. But if you lose all that life, you know, you can't get it back unless you position it accordingly. So a thing I would do is that if you did, let's just say you got the heat engage back and you decide not to, aggress, you don't decide to, run in and you get a little life back, you get the life back, and then you're in rage. I think that if you get out of rage, that rage range, I feel that you shouldn't be stuck in rage. I think that if you are you reach that line and your life goes back up to that line of where rage is, the rage shouldn't, it should not It should not activate. It should deactivate, and then you can be able to get back in. Like, I think that would help the game a lot, because then you are not forced to take so much more damage as the timer is going down, because then as you are taking more damage, it just rewards the player to be like, all right, I don't need to waste my heat until I'm about to die. And then when I'm about to die, that's when I use heat, right? I don't, and then I can just get, the heat engager, and I get rage, and I get double damage, and I get a gas guaranteed. Like, that's too much for the player. I think that it's so much that you're not allowed as the player to express the way your style is supposed to play. And I think that it really makes the aggressor just get more rewarded, and you're more rewarded for making somebody just take a guess. And I think that's not good. I think that's just not good at all for the game. I think, just all in all, like, the best way to alleviate that is to, make it go back. Like, they don't get the rage anymore. Like, they'll still be able to activate it, but they don't get to, they don't get the ability to just do double damage, get the heat, and then you can still do chip. Like, that's too much. I think that's too much of a mechanic that just forces the player to really just do whatever they're thinking, and just like, all right, I can just make you guess one time, and then I hit you to the wall, and then I hit you to an interactable, and then you're bing bang boom, you're dead. I don't personally, as a competitive player that played many fighting games over the years, who made it to world finals, spoke with a lot of development teams, and actually gave honest feedback that really helped their games. I think that these changes would help. So in conclusion, the changes I would do is that if you had a heat engager, you get the choice to run in or not. And if you ran in, you don't get white life back. You don't get the white life back. But if you don't if you don't run in, you get the white life back. If you do run in, you do not get the white life back. So we'll emphasize on that. Another thing is that you're reduce the attack of chip damage, because some chip damage attacks are just too much. It just enforces you to just interact with the player once. You make them block for 5 seconds, and then they're like, only need is one throw, one interaction, one shoulder, and they're dead. And that's not good for the game. Another thing I would change is the tracking in the moves. The tracking in the moves is too much, and if they uh enable character weaknesses in the game again. Do not let these characters just be the same thing, because nobody likes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for 7 days in a row. That's kind of gross. And the last thing I would change is reduce the number of plus frames in this game, because the less the player has to guess, and the player gets to more interact with the game, the more the game gets more stabilized. And I think those changes would be really helpful for the game, because it would introduce a new style of defense. Maybe if they wanted to introduce defense, they could do that, but do it in a way that allows the player to feel like they're still interacting with the game, because this game now just becomes a one-player game. If I want to play a one-player game, I'd rather go play Devil May Cry HD Collection, or I'll go play a different game. I'll go play the new DNF game, the first Berserker, or play something else, because this game is just, it's not in a healthy state right now. And I hope these changes could be listened to from the development team, and if they give me feedback on it, because I would love to talk to them or work with them in this, because this is something I really want to do for the rest of my life. I really want to make video games to help people escape troubles that they are having, or maybe enjoy a night with the boys when the girls are out, and let them have fun. Like, let these games decide, like, have creativity, enjoyment for the player. I think that would help a lot. And I really appreciate you guys listening to me. I know I'm rambling a little bit too much, more than usual, because I really care about this game. I do. I am thankful for Tekken for what it done for my life. It changed my life. It allowed me to meet, allowed me to go overseas to meet new friends, former fans of my Killer Instinct time. allowed me to meet new people, experience adventures that I would never experience. And I'm really grateful for Tekken for that. And instead of just complaining, I would like to introduce these changes to help them. And maybe if they do listen, maybe we might see these later down the road. But yeah, that's it. I really appreciate y'all for watching to the end. And if you like these changes, comment down below what you think are good changes, what do you think are bad changes. And till next time. And if you guys want to hear more about this, like the channel, sub to the channel, and let me know. Till next time, I'll see you.